Hello, this is Adam from Scan Pro Audio, and today I'm joined with Simon from Yamaha.
Hi, Adam.
Today we're looking at the amazing Genos2 keyboard. But the question that sometimes I get asked is, what is a keyboard? What is a workstation? What is a Genos2?
Right, well, some people already know about these because they've been buying keyboards like this for many years. But there are quite a few people out here who don't really understand what the difference is, say, between a synth, a keyboard, arranger. So I thought what we would do is have a little dive in together. You can press a few buttons, I can do a bit of playing, and just sort of break it down a little bit as to. So you can lead the way if you like.
So where do you think is the best place to start? Because obviously with a keyboard, you know, or an arranger, as they're also known, you've got amazing sounds, but we've also got some what we call styles as well. And why I like playing with an arranger and sometimes like to use one more than a workstation really is for songwriting. Back in my previous life with another hat on, I used to work very closely with a gentleman that won lots of awards. He'd won an Ivan Novello. But he used to write his albums on a keyboard. And the reason for that was, with a keyboard, because all the styles and everything that you've got are pre-recorded, that you can control, it gave him so many ideas for songwriting. So maybe that's a nice place to start.
That's brilliant because, you know, even if you are, you know, a skilled musician, there is a lot of work that's done in the background. And that can be really time consuming, and also it sometimes can be where you lose that sort of idea that you had. So we could actually look at that if you want. Why don't we have a look at what would happen if you came up with an idea, you know, one evening at home and wanted to sort of get a bit of a demo down. In what style? You pick the genre.
Well,
that you
let's go for something really straightforward. Let's look at something like a ballad. So how do we select that?
Okay, so basically with the touchscreen, you would just choose your genre of music you like. There are 800 styles in here.
Just a few then.
Just a few. And they are across the entire musical genre. You could go from anything from film scores to pop to jazz, you know, anything from anywhere in the world. So if we're going to look for ballad, of course, you want to start on this side to break it down.
Pop.
You could, pop. You could, in fact, do a search if you wanted, but you pick a ballad, and
let's do that one. 12/8 pop ballad.
Okay. So what's happened now is that you've just sort of simply just pressed that, but in the background, the keyboard itself will allow you to now, with a chord at this side, will allow you to have a bass guitarist, a drummer, other musicians you'd find in a band, you know, session musicians, things like that. So this idea that you might have is literally sparked from just playing a chord, really.
And that chord could be a single finger chord, or it could be a block chord.
So looking for inspiration, really, a songwriter, you know, they have a rough idea of what they're looking to achieve, but not necessarily scored out a whole part. So literally all I'm going to do is just choose one of these variations. Now what these are is, in a band, as you would know, you'd have quiet parts, you'd have bigger parts, you'd have, you know, chorus, verse, that sort of thing. And simply A, B, C, D is literally how big.
An intensity button, if you will. You might have A and B. I think my keyboard teacher always used to say to me, A and B is normally nice for a verse, C and D is nice for a chorus, D could be used for a bridge or a middle eight or whatever.
And as musicians, that, you know, we've been playing keyboards like this for some time, but some of the viewers might you know, be looking at this for the first time. Is we're sort of casually A, B, but really just play and use your ears, because, you know, if I just play a chord here. So in here, we've got some piano, we've got some guitar.
And what's nice is they're all, obviously you played a chord of C there, so all those instruments are backing you in the key of C.
And if we just randomly change that to something else, I'll do the same thing, but in a different key, because your song or your voice, or you might be playing with a guitarist or another musician. It's doing exactly the same thing with a different chord, which allows you now to sort of embellish with some other sounds.
Or you could write some lyrics, and you could maybe think of a melody that you'd like to put over the top of that, and you're off. You are creating your own song.
The inspiration is coming from the instrument to start with, and then you can move on from there. So if we change to B, that will just give us an idea of what the variation is. So in B, this is going to play now the same feel, but a little bit more busier. So we've got some bass coming in.
Yeah, some nice strings underneath as well.
Yeah. Now, as you said, you could do this with single finger if you wanted to. And we'll go to C as well.
It sounds so good. I always like using an arranger for songwriting because it really does give you that idea. I think sometimes with a workstation, you're provided all the tools. So you're provided with some great sounds, some great drum sounds, some great bass sound. Off you go, make your song.
Yeah.
But you know, sometimes as a musician or not, you've got the idea that you want in your head. It's difficult to kind of write that with a workstation, but with an arranger, you've got some. You might think, well, right, I like that, but I now want to just maybe change the feel. So this again is another ballad this time.
Yep.
It's a 6/8 ballad, so it's still got like that shuffly feel.
Yep.
But if we just play any chord, it'll give you the same.
Let's just do the same one just for you know, to hear the difference. Different tempo.
Yeah.
Different feel to it.
But you can see where you'd be inspired to write music, and that's what's really clever. But I also like an arranger because, say for example, we like this style, we've then got the ability to manipulate that further, so we could maybe change the drums, change the bass, change with different sounds, or we were having a bit of a play about before where you've got this feature on the amazing Genos2 where you can actually change the way with which they call it ambient depth.
That's right.
With the drums.
It's really powerful because you know, a lot of the work that goes into this in the background, I mean, it's massive. I personally don't have the skill or the time to sit down and individually I'd put the microphone on a drum or a guitar, the nuances. So those have all been done for you. But you do have the ability here, like you said. It's a great thing. You mentioned earlier about some film sort of
so let's change it. So we'll go this time into movie and show. So this is a brand new, different category this time. So anything in particular that you think that you like,
I mean,
or
sort of movie stuff?
Okay, so let's go for number 2. There is Sci-Fi March.
Yeah. Okay.
So let's see what first of all what this does, what this sounds like.
Yeah. So when obviously these things are recorded, they spend. You know, it's very meticulous with the microphones and things, but just moving the mics makes a big difference. So if we were to put the microphones really close to the drums, it's going to be more of a dry sound and more up close.
Sure.
So if you have a listen to this. And simply turning this now will allow us to sort of move the mics away in a larger room. It really changes the depth of the drums itself. Same pattern.
Yep. So you're almost doing an easy edit.
Yeah.
But just... you can really hear
that.
Yeah, so it's almost like you stood further away now.
Yeah.
And obviously now if you play like a chord, every other instrument in that band will join you. Nice. Dramatic finish.
I was going to say it gives it more drama, doesn't it? Because if we listen to that same drum ending with the ambience down as if your mics are really close, I mean, this is something you might want to achieve. If we do the same. it still obviously resonates, but it doesn't have that. You're not in the theatre.
Yeah.
So another thing that I find, because I can't play guitar, so if I'm wanting to have some guitar in my demo or something, I either have to call a friend, or I need to let the keyboard help me because I can't play. So I thought what we could do is have a look at a style where there is some guitar in the background.
Okay.
And then have a little look at where you can turn parts on and off.
Okay.
So again, you pick a style that you think. I mean, it can be any genre. Maybe
what, you something with a guitar in it?
Yeah, like, I don't know. Maybe we've done a ballad, so what about rock or even R&B or whatever?
Is there anything in there?
Oh, that's a good one.
Right.
Let's have a look at that one. That's
Super Groove.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I mean, I say guitar. This one's got a bit of funk to it.
Okay, so but the beauty with this, so what we're going to show now is that you can pick any style. And you mentioned there before, in those styles, you've got a drummer playing, you've got a bass player, you might have a full orchestra playing, you might have a guitarist. You can individually mute those out.
Yep.
Or bring those in whenever you want. Okay.
Yeah, and over here on the right, it's really, really simple to use. You've got your menu, etc. But with it being touchscreen, you can just go to mixer, or you can go to your volumes. There's a channel on and off.
Okay.
And what this will allow you to do is you can see now across.
So these are all the parts of the style that are going to play.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's just suppose your idea that you had at home was, I'm thinking of this song, and I want a really good bass, bass guitar. You could turn everything else off here. You could say, turn all of these off here. And all you'd be left with here would be some bass and some drums. And that's all you'll get. So again, you play your chord down here. I mean, you can't help but sort of...
Yep.
Yeah. Now, because I can't play the drums or the bass, that's really inspiring.
Yeah.
And it might be that you hit record, and then you just sort of have a jam. Because really, that's how ideas are born, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
So we could pick a sound. We haven't sort of touched on sounds yet, but if we go over here, we can choose a sound. I don't know. Let's think something that suits that would be. How about a nice electric piano, maybe something like that. So you could literally just play the chord and play some notes. Yeah, and an idea is coming to shape, isn't it?
And the other thing is as well, is that we were talking before about changing from A to B to C to D.
Yep.
Is if we actually just press while we're playing that, so if we just have that style running again like you did, and then just simply press A again, you actually get, you can program... To program that on a workstation, you'd have to, number one, know what a drummer would do and how they would hit it.
You'd
and
have to be, in the mindset of a drummer.
Yeah, it's done it for you.
Yeah.
It will do that. And again, the other thing that we touched on before is if in menu and in your channel on off, I noticed before if you touch the right, the text, it will mute on and off those parts.
Yep.
But underneath you have a picture, and if we touch the picture, it will now open up the bass guitar page and allow us to think, well, maybe we don't want that particular bass sound. We want to change it.
That's sort of a jazz bass that's been picked, but you could, if you wanted to, change it to something else. You could have it to sort of a muted bass. This is more of with a pick instead. So same style, but the bass is a bit shorter, a bit more percussive.
And again, we've got different pages. So you could, I don't know what these are going to...
Yeah, just press one.
Shall we press one? See what happens?
Yeah, just do it. That's more of an acoustic one.
Bass.
Yeah, you can tell. You see that sort of come to the forefront, hasn't it?
Now, what I think we should do, let's just stick with that one.
Yep.
So we've got bass and rhythm. Why don't we bring in another part?
Yep.
I don't know what's going to happen.
No,
Shall
me
I bring
neither.
one in?
No, yeah.
See.
Yeah, I got it.
I already know what I'd play to that one, but we get the idea. Let's get rid of Stevie Wonder. And let's bring in, what else have we got?
A pad.
And again, some of these parts might not be used.
No, because...
So they might, for example, for that one, they might only have used 2 or 3 instruments.
That's right. And the thing is that we're sort of taking for granted here what's been done in the background.
Yes.
Because we're making it look easy. You just sort of choose a style, press that, do this. But, you know, in the background, there's been a lot of thought done with the musicality of what's going on. Let's change style, but keep the same idea, because some of the styles have, you know, a more grand arrangement to them. So we've done ballad. Let's try and sort of vary it up a little bit. Let's have a look at some retro pop, shall we?
Okay.
You can see things here from the 80s, 70s disco, things like that. So let's go for something like 80s duo. I have no idea what this is going to be, because I've not played with this particular.
Okay.
Yeah, it's great.
I mean, you instantly, when you hear it, you're transported to a place, and it's catching. You're smiling, and you're thinking of either a famous pop song or whatever that you could maybe play with that.
Yeah.
But this is the whole idea. It's giving you inspiration into not only being able to emulate those records or songs that you played or you can play or learn. It's also giving you inspiration to write your own as well. Yeah,
and I think what you'll find is that with so many styles, some of them will be very specific, and you'll hear instantly as the minute you hear it. But there are some there where you could, you know, just play a chord, even have a bit of a sing. I know you sort of sing as well, you could hit a chord, play some notes on the right hand, sing. This is all about creation of ideas, you know. So with that one, we'll see what's in the background in the channel, as you mentioned here. So this one sort of got a bit of everything, really. A lot of this, one thing to mention, it's got the lovely, warm, rich sounds of the DX7. This Genos 2 now has 2 engines, so it's got the DX engine.
So just importantly, what that is, for those of you that may not know, back in the sort of 80s, Yamaha released a very, very popular synthesizer called the DX7, which was a brand new form of synthesis which used operators. Won't bore you with all the details, but you will have heard the sound because it was pretty much used in every record made.
And even now.
From then, even now, as you say, whether that be in a bass, whether that be in the beautiful electric pianos that maybe we can show if we've got the time. And of course with some beautiful pad sounds. And because this, I guess, is an 80s kind of style that we picked.
That's right.
It features very heavily in this style.
So what we can do, you're not limited to just turning them on and off, by the way.
Okay.
If you go into your mixer instead, you can actually change the volumes.
Okay.
So this would be good for viewers to listen and see what's going on. If we play the style and then sort of have a little fiddle around with some
and
of
see
these.
what.
Yeah, just to see what's in there, basically. We'll do the same chord. So the bass line, as you can tell.
Yeah.
I can bring that up. Yeah. We'll take some of these off, and then we'll go for. You can actually solo it by holding your finger on.
Right, okay.
So you can just hear individually.
Right, so now you can hear there's it's called a pad.
A pad, yeah.
It's like a synthesizer picture.
That's
so
right.
It's like a synthy sound.
Yeah, and you can adjust the volume if you want. So in your particular chosen song that you're doing, you might want a bit more bass or a bit less, or so this is as a creative tool. So you could, which is quite effective, just have the pad. You could just have bass and pad, really, I suppose.
And so the other thing is as well, what you can do as well is not just change the volume, but you can see here we've got we can pan it left and right if you wanted to do that.
And that's something that has been done for us. So again, we're taking it for granted. That's something that the team who've put this together done a phenomenal job. That just shows the detail that they've gone to, is to put one sound a little bit pan to one. Let's actually listen to that, shall we?
Yeah.
And see
what is it chord?
So what we'll do, we'll turn these off, and we'll just have the chords in. We might need to use a different variation.
Yeah.
Like you said. So it's got a bit of rhythm in there in itself.
So I can hear that, so that you've got your arpeggiated higher section coming from there.
That's right.
And then those stabs are coming from there. So it's already panned for you, which is clever.
That's right. And just simply add a little bit of percussion here. I mean, this is an idea sort of starting already.
Yeah.
You know, we won't launch into song, but I can already hear.
I know what you mean.
And at this moment, we haven't even played anything with the right hand.
No.
But it might be just that idea that you've got for, whatever piece of music you might be making.
And the beauty is, because you've got over 700 styles, each different style has, of course, what we mentioned before, 4 variations, A, B, C, and D.
Yep.
You can simply get lost in songwriting. There's so much you can go at. You can pick any style. You can mute any part within that style. You can change the volume.
Replace
the sound with a different sound.
Yep.
So, and then obviously once you've kind of got it to where you want it to be, you can then record that.
Yep.
So you can then record, and the beauty with the Genos 2, it is an audio interface as well.
It is.
So you can literally connect with a USB directly into a Mac or a PC onto your DAW and do some recording that way if you wish. Or
put your mic in as well.
Of course, you can plug a microphone in and you can sing if you wanted to as well. Or it does have an onboard sequencer, so you can record your own pieces at home.
Yeah.
So we've touched on styles. So we've also got sounds as well.
Yeah.
Now, just while we're in this kind of style mode, just something for everybody at home. Whenever we pick a style, so we pick synth duo there, it will not only select A, B, C, and D for style, it will actually give you 4 sounds as well.
Yeah.
That the guys at Yamaha have actually picked sounds that they think will work well with that style. Is that right?
The amount of work that goes into that is insane. It takes ages because it's not just, that sound will do. They build the effects around it, the panning. They'll mix things together that work really well. They'll sometimes leave a space for you to swap to an alternative sound. So you haven't just got 4. I'll give you an example. We'll find a style here. We'll go back to our ballad section.
Yep.
And we press our pop ballad we had.
Yep.
I've pressed number 1. And what that's given us is an acoustic guitar sound.
Yep.
That's what Yamaha have said. This sounds lovely.
Will work nice with that.
Lovely.
Okay.
But what they've also done is in the background, they've given an alternative sound, and there's an organ.
Okay.
So it's great because that reverb is all set for you. The levels are set. Everything's done for you in the background. Of course, you can easily change it if you want to adapt it.
Yeah, so you've got full drawbars there if you wanted to edit that sound.
Yeah.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It is. There's a lot of thought that's given, and it's easy to sort of skip over that. Oh, it's got 800 stars and 4 sounds.
I often find sometimes when you're playing with styles, you obviously always have your favourites. So, for example, you might play a ballad, and you might think, what sound would go with a ballad? Piano. Okay, I've done... Right, I'm going to do a pop song now. What song will go well with a pop song? Piano. And you almost get stuck in that.
Yeah.
And the beauty with using these is it really does give you ideas, like with the songwriting thing for the style, of what sounds to use as well.
Yeah.
And you will often find new sounds by using this one-touch setting.
Yeah, that's absolutely.
So it's really, really clever. So, I mean, for that ballad, we've got guitar.
Yeah.
We've got character round, which I know you love.
I love it.
We will come to that.
We'll come back to that. Write that down.
We've got a guitar sound, but again, with some effects. You've got a fingerstyle chorus sound and some beautiful strings as well.
Yeah.
So it really does give you ideas, not only for the style, but for sounds as well.
Yeah, and sometimes they are going to be sounds that you wouldn't have necessarily thought of yourself.
No.
So it is quite inspiring in that sense.
And just to keep it very, very basic, again, what they've done is really, really good, is that you've actually got 4, if you want to call them 4 voice parts.
Yeah.
So you can have 3 sounds, if we call it in our right hand.
Yeah,
so
we can do it if you want.
We can layer 3 sounds.
Yeah, you go ahead. And
so let's start with number 1. So what?
So this one is a string section, Keno strings, and it's the violin section. So when we hear an orchestra, it's easy to sort of think, but of course there's so many different types of strings. Mm-hmm. It's not just the case like the old days you press the string sound.
Yeah.
You've got your violins, cellos, you've got closer ones, further.
And I think that's important you mention that, because you think of sounds, you think of, I don't know, piano, you think of guitar, you'll think of, I don't know, saxophone, clarinet, whatever. Just because we've got one voice part doesn't mean you're going to necessarily hear one instrument.
No.
So, for example, Keno strings violins might be a whole section of violins playing. Yeah, so it's not, don't think of it as, oh, I can only layer 3 sounds. It's not that. You could have a full string section with a full brass section with a piano over the top.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
If you wanted to.
I mean, piano and strings is a very common
classic combo.
mix. We should touch also on the other sound that I know you really like, which is where it will even not just necessarily put the orchestra sound, but it will work out what part of the orchestra is playing on which key.
Right, well, I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's do some sounds.
Yeah.
And then we'll end it with that, because what you're talking about is ensemble. And I've never seen any instrument do this.
No.
So maybe that's a good one
idea.
to end in. So,
okay, let's have a look.
Let's look at some sounds. So we can do it from the screen, or we can do it from here. So let's touch that.
Yeah.
Sound, where do you want to start? You mentioned charactergram before.
Yeah, I love that charactergram. It's a new sound to this keyboard, but it's just so nice. It's so rich, and it's called charactergram because it's got really that, you know.
It's a classic.
It's just lovely, isn't it? You know? But it's slightly out of tune, just a smidge. Just to give it that character.
Yeah. I like it because it's almost like you can imagine you're in a studio and there's just a piano in the corner. Let's drag it out and we'll record a song on it. And it's like you say, it's not been prepped for that day's recording.
No.
It might have been not tuned
couple of
for a
weeks
while
ago.
or whatever. And it just gives it that real warmth and that real character. Hence the name Charactergram.
Exactly, yeah. And if I just play a couple of bits and then you change it to one of the others, you'll see the difference is, you know, just some chords. And then change it to a different one. It can play exactly the same. Yeah. And even though it's the same what I'm playing, you know, the tone has changed the feel of it. Yeah.
Shall we do another one?
Yeah,
do that one.
Yeah, the upright piano, That's lovely, isn't it? And we're just writing a song now. That's the problem, So another thing just to mention is if you took a sound, just an ordinary grand piano, sort of a basic one, let's say. You could, if you had the knowledge and know what to do with it, turn it into a completely different sound.
Okay.
So if we went to the menu again, in our mixer, we're not limited to just volume. We can actually change things like reverb, effects, the EQ of it, even filters, so things like cutoff resonance, that type of thing.
Yeah.
But it's important to remember that not everybody is an expert music producer.
No.
You know, and you might have an idea of well, I want something a bit more mellow, or I want it to be atmospheric or whatever. So instead of having to deep dive right into there, if you have that knowledge, fantastic.
Use it, you can do all that.
There. But if you don't and you just want to go to your sound, there are presets that are done here. There's an ambient grand. So have a listen to the reverb. I'll play the same piece. And that's got some
so it's like a
delay.
Echo and delay,
and those, you know, can make a difference to the way it's changing the way I play now. And if I change back to the character one, I can still use it, but it's given it a different feel, hasn't it? And I can't help but play it differently because it's a different sound. So that inspiring side of things.
I also like it as well because of the way that you're playing, and you can tell what really comes across for me when you're playing is that the sounds obviously are real recordings of instruments. That's how these instruments are made up these days. But what's really nice is when you are pressing, because obviously the keyboard is what we call touch response, which means if you touch it softly, it's quiet. If you touch it hard, it's loud. But the sound changes. So if you play harder, it cuts through a bit more. The sound is brighter. If you play softly, it's mellower, and you really get that from your playing when you
You do, and again, this is what we've been sort of talking about today: is the inspiration of it, isn't it? It inspires you to want to create and play. So we've gone off on a little tangent because we were sort of talking about.
We got all excited about pianos,
but you're not limited to acoustic pianos. Obviously, you have your electric pianos as well, in various styles. Let's go for here. We've got the classic electric piano EP. This is lovely.
It's just a stunning sound, isn't it? And what I like about it is that you're not setting it. You're not setting it up. You're literally picking one sound and playing, and you're getting that fantastic quality.
Yeah, rich. Yeah, it's almost a little bit. We are taking it for granted, really, because there's a huge amount of work that would go into getting that sound. Why don't you mix a sound with that?
I'll tell you what. Right, okay.
Because that's that's what the tangent we went off.
Yeah. So we've got in right one.
We've got in right one. We've got our electric piano.
So what do you want in number 2?
I don't know. Maybe. How about some sort of soft pad? Like a synthy.
We'll switch it on.
Yep.
And we'll go into pad.
Yep. We want something quite soft because it's kind of ballady, isn't it?
So what shall we have? Well, shall we get rid of the electric piano first,
just so we can audition?
We can audition what we want.
So here's another thing as well: is if you just want to quickly audition a sound to see what it's like, tap the sound itself and then just press demo, and that'll give you a little tip of that's not the one I wanted. I was thinking something a bit softer. That one's a little
So I get so you can
you can really. Yeah, that would be nice. Yeah, let's have that one.
So then we bring the piano back in again.
That's it.
Play them together.
And now we can play them together.
Nice.
Nice. What do you think to the balance? Do you think one of them outshines the other?
Yeah, I do. Well, what we could do is, I'm guessing, we can do it from the.
Yep. That's it.
So how did we get to that screen? Sorry, just from the main. So if we were in that mode,
that's right.
How would we get that screen up? How do we change the volume?
Basically, press the voice over here.
Yep.
And this is showing us on the screen what these buttons correspond to.
Okay.
So 1, 2, 3, and left. 1, 2, 3, left. So you could see there it's defaulted again.
The volumes are there.
Yeah. So you could just touch this and say I'd like a bit more pad or I'd like a bit less. You can also change the octave. Mm-hmm. So if we wanted the piano to be sort of higher but the pad to be lower, it's very easy just to go in here and change the octave. So now we've got our pad the same.
But your piano's now an octave higher.
That's actually a nice sound.
Yeah.
Well, I think we'll save this one. Oh, it's lovely and rich.
Delicious.
Yeah, it's really nice. So yeah, you could just save that. We could add another sound. How about?
Here we go.
Something that I like to do, which I don't know who sort of invented this sound, but it's something that I really love, is to mix an acoustic piano with an electric piano.
Yeah.
And we could do that with the pad or without the pad. So on the third one, let's add another
real piano.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's
do it. So which one should we have?
I think we should go for something a bit brighter.
Okay.
Like a rock piano maybe. Okay. Or something. That's what I'm thinking.
Rock grand.
Let's see what might be too much.
No, I think it's. Oh, that's lovely. Yeah. Now I think the pad's a bit heavy. Do you?
Yes.
So you can go to voice. By the way, I completely overlooked this. We have our sliders here.
Of course.
And what we should have done, really, we should have taken that opportunity to introduce these. We got so excited about the sound.
It's all right.
So these here are the actual volumes. You'll see as I'm moving these. So that's a great way to get your sound exactly.
And what's nice is if you don't know what these are, you can see we've got a little LCD screen at the top, which you can clearly see right 1, right 2, and right 3 are all at 0 now.
That's it, so that we have no sound at all. Then we can just bring it in. That's the electric piano, the DX. And then we can, the bit of the pad, we'll have that. And then we'll bring the acoustic one in.
Nice.
Now we're back in the 80s, aren't we?
We are. Such a big sound.
It's lovely.
Now, obviously, talking arrangers now, I mean, particularly with Yamaha, you've got so many different arrangers. We've got the Genos2, we've got S900, SX700. You know, anything that we're showing you is the same on them all, isn't it? It's particularly the SX range, the 700, 900 and Genos2.
Yep.
The way we can layer 3 sounds on our right, 1 on our left, the way that A, B, C and D work in the style, the way
audio
recording, you can mute parts out the style, you can change the parts in the style.
Plug your mic.
Yeah, so anything that we've shown you today is applicable on all those different models. Obviously, with the Genos2, we've got 700 styles. So 800. So we haven't got as many on the lower models, or we haven't got as many sounds. But anything that we're showing you today kind of is the same on
you would
all
still
those
you would
different
still
ones.
be inspired by any of those in the range. And I think this links nicely. Now we've mixed 3 sounds together. Just quickly we'll touch on, if we wanted to keep that, because tomorrow we might want to come back to it. It is literally as simple as press memory and choose one of these 10 buttons. That's it.
So when you switch off, come back to it tomorrow, load it back in, press number 1, it will load those sounds, and it will also load the style as well. So whatever style we selected, whatever speed we had that at, whatever effects we've got, the volumes that you've put in yourself, it will just instantly recall.
Because that's something that, not everybody's got the luxury to spend all day, every day at home. But once you've got to go out or got to go to work, just quickly zap it in there, save it, go, come back tomorrow, carry on from where you left off.
Yeah, and of course you can you can go really in depth with that. You can give it a name, and then you can, we can add it into a list, and we can go as deep as you want.
That's right. I mean, I could save that onto a USB stick. I could email it to you.
Yeah.
If I've gone, listen to this that I've made. I've got my DX, I've got my Rock Grand piano. Adam, have a listen to this. Email you, pop it in yours. Great.
Amazing.
Great. So the mixing of the sounds here, we've been choosing our own.
Yeah.
But the point that you mentioned earlier about ensemble, it is a fantastic. It's sort of not used enough, really.
I don't think it is, and I think it's something. I like it because I've never seen it before. So I'm sure people, if you have seen it before, please let me know, because I've not seen it before. And what it does is, if we just go into, let's pick an ensemble sound. So if we go into the sound categories, we've got, as you can see, piano, electric piano, we've got strings, we've got brass, we've got choir, we've got some really nice guitars, we've got bass, we've got woodwind instruments, but right at the end there, we've got this one called ensemble. And I've picked out string quartet. And the reason why I like this is it now gets rid of this right 1, right 2, right 3 left-hand sound to just 4 parts you can see indicated on the screen.
Yeah.
And why I like it is it's given us a string quartet. Okay. Now, if I play 1 note, it gives us, a double bass, a cello, violin, or a viola and a violin. I'm guessing that's what sounds.
All on the 1 key.
All on the 1 key. Well, that's not new. Every keyboard does that. But what's clever is if I play 4 notes, it now plays a violin, a second violin or a viola, cello and a bass, all on different notes.
It is.
I've never seen that done before, and it's really clever.
It's so authentic because it gives that.
Yeah, can I play?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
It's just. It's so clever. It's like you are. I love it. I think
what it's doing as well is audibly. I mean, I could tell by your face as you're playing it. It's like, that you weren't expecting that particular note to be on the cello.
No.
And it you know, it's very.
And again, if you play and hold a chord, so if I did sort of what I was doing before. You can hear all
brilliant.
4 instruments playing. It's very, very clever. You
can spend hours just on
that. And things like that. Again, for songwriting, or if you were writing something, if you were in a church choir and you were writing parts for a church choir, or you were writing for a real string quartet, you have the ability to see what it would sound like. It's just really, really inspiring.
Yeah, well, this sort of crosses into having the knowledge that, you know, a conductor or an arranger or somebody who writes and scores and things, because they would have that knowledge of, well, you know, this instrument would sit in that area and that. But, you know, I don't know, for example, a brass section. If you went to see a band, a live band, there will be a trumpet, a sax, a baritone, maybe trombone. I don't know which one of those is in which part of the octave. I don't know if you do.
No.
But in here, it will do it for you. Ensemble, that's it. That's the one. So if we go to a funky jazz.
Okay.
So let's actually have a look
how it's set up.
That's it. Yeah.
2 trumpets, a trombone, and what looks like a saxophone.
Yeah. And it's also down here making reference to the type of harmony. And they're all playing unison at the moment, but
it's really weird, isn't it?
Yeah. That's great, isn't it? So combine that with the style.
Yeah,
we've got our actual,
awesome. Yeah.
We've got our saxophone section. Let's find one in here. Let's do Soul Shuffle or something like that, maybe. So we'll just hit a chord. I think that's what we'll do. Yeah, let's have this one.
Really clever.
And it's separating the different parts of the brass out into different areas. It's great.
Yeah, I like it because I've never seen that done before, and it's a very, very powerful feature that's on the Genos 2 that I don't think enough people talk about.
It would take you a long time to do that individually.
Yeah.
To take the one.
Well, let's just to show you kind of what we mean. If I was to pick on my right one sound, so let's just go back into, we're on here, and I went, okay, I'm gonna kind of emulate that at home. Right, I'm gonna go into here, and I'm on strings, so I'm gonna find a nice violin.
Yeah.
So I'll go for orchestral first violin.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Sounds beautiful. Right, now for my quartet, I'm going to layer that with another string sound, and I'm going to go into strings, and I'm going to go into page 2, and I'm going to have a viola, okay? So, it's sounding good now, my quartet. But the problem is, we've picked 2 instruments there. That's 2 instruments playing. That's 2 instruments playing. And the more notes you play, they're all stacking on top of each other. So before you know it, you're not playing a string quartet.
Yeah, and your idea of creating a complete ensemble is literally just press here. Which page were you on? This
That's
one.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, and immediately.
So you will only ever hear 4 instruments playing. Doesn't matter how many, as long as you play the 4 notes. It's really clever.
Lovely.
And again, there's no programming.
No.
It's there as a preset for you to just dive in and use.
Now, something you mentioned earlier was that, a lot of your customers who have a love for film and computer games, music, creating music, this would be the absolute tool if you wanted to make your own sort of epic opening scene to a game or anything like that. But the brilliant thing is it's really easy.
Okay.
I don't know if you've had much time to play here, but in here we've got, in movie and show, we've got some absolutely epic sounds. And again, this is something that I've just called up here, pressed the button here, and straight away we have...
Nice.
And that's without even the sounds that we've got. So if we have a look at some of the sounds here, I mean, you Desert Adventure sort of paints a picture already, doesn't it? We've got the mixed sounds already done here, philharmonic atmosphere, some sort. Let's have a listen to those.
So I'm guessing then it's picked at the moment because we're on Variation C. You've used a feature called OTS Link, which is on. Which basically means that whenever you press number C, letter C, it picks number 3. So they kind of work in tandem together.
That's
which,
right.
again, you can switch off if you don't want. But so that's why we're on that. So we're on Variation C.
That's
and it's
right.
given us these 3 sounds.
So those 3 are sort of mixed together again for us. As you just said, if you go to A, the rhythm is going to be less busy, but still equally as powerful.
We've got another sound that's not on keyboards that often. The duduk. Duduk, is that how you pronounce it? Armenian instrument. Beautiful sound. Nice. And why I like this particular style as well is it's really good. And it's, although there's a tempo there, you can't hear it.
No.
It's very free, and you can really play about with the slowing down and your speeding up, and it's very inspirational, particularly for writing your own music.
It's great. So, well, I mean, we've touched on quite a lot.
A few there.
Yeah, we have.
I want to go and buy a Genos2 now and experiment with some of these things at home. I hope it's been useful for everybody at home.
Well, I've enjoyed it. So
good. I'm glad. And don't forget, if you'd like to come and see these in the store, please give us a call over in Bolton. We can organise a private demonstration for you, and that can be on video or it can be in our store. So thank you, Simon.
Pleasure.
It's been great.
It's been great. I've thoroughly enjoyed it here.
No, it's been good.
Yeah, been great. Great day.
I've no doubt we'll have you again very, very soon.
Brill.
Do you want to play us out with some Desert Adventure?
Yeah,
I was
why
enjoying
don't we?
that.
Yeah, why don't we? Let's have a little bit of that.